Good evening. Welcome to this edition of After Dinner Pipe and Coffee. I am the Bearded Welshman. Tonight, I'm smoking my custom built with some Captain Black round taste. I didn't let it dry out enough. We just got back from the store. It's getting late. It's almost 9 o'clock, and I wanted to do a quick video. Beautiful custom built. This was one that was sent to me, Artie's Place. It's one of my favorite pipes. I was smoking it. It was just a good pipe. Well, it is a cold night in Pennsylvania, and it is going to get colder. It rained earlier today, kind of warm, wasn't too bad. Little cold, not bad, a little cold. But it's really, temperature's dropping. We're smoking round taste Captain Black. I'm really enjoying the Captain Black flavors. Thank you, Jim, for sending me the 4 pouches of Captain Black. 4 or 5. Really enjoying them. And of course, coffee. Just black. Of course. I'm going to turn my phone down. Actually, I'm going to turn flashlight on a little bit so I can read. Let me move this out a little bit, just a tad. I like going to old bookshops. If we go to a thrift store, I like to look through the books. And I just like old books. I like to find. I'm surprised when I find books, and I found this book. Oh, I don't know. Last year, maybe a couple of years ago. And it's called Riverside Literature Series, right? Okay. And John Burroughs, Charles Dudley, Birds and Bees, Charles Dudley Warner's A Hunting of the Deer and Other Essays, and then Thoreau, The Secession of Forest Trees and Wild Apples. Interesting little book. Henry David Thoreau. Which is actually pretty cool. In here, he has a section, The Secession of Forest Trees, and then wild apples. And he goes through a history of the apple tree, wild apple, the crab, how the wild apple grows, the fruit and its flavor, their beauty, the naming of them, the last gleaning, and then the frozen thawed apple. It's pretty cool. Um, and I like the book. I like to pick it up. Ralph Waldo Emerson does a thing in here, biographical sketch, and so I just like just old books. Um, so he does it pretty good. Page 62, 64. I'm gonna go to this one. But anyhow, last night my son and I watched a good movie by Peter Jackson, and Peter Jackson of The Hobbit. And in honor of his grandfather, who fought in World War One, he made a movie. It's all actual footage. Colorized it, put the voices to it, the men telling stories, and found lip readers to tell you what they were saying. And then brought people in from those different areas. The dialects is really cool. A little slow in the beginning, but it's pretty cool. Amazing what those men went through. World War One. Devastating, devastating warfare. I think it's the first war of the industrial age, and it just so anyhow. So, if you don't mind, I'd like to read from you. Henry David Thoreau, from this book. This book only cost me like $4. It was called The Wild Apple. So much more, so much for the more civilized apple trees. Herbivores, as Pliny calls them. I love better to go through the old orchards and ungrafted apple trees at whatever season of the year, so irregularly planted, sometimes two trees standing close together, and the rows so devious that you would think that they not only had grown while the owner was sleeping, but had been set out by him in a somnambulic state. Wow. The rows of grafted fruit will never tempt me to wander amid them like these. But I now, alas, speak rather from memory than from any recent experience. Such ravages have been made. Some soils, like a rocky tract called the Eastern Brooks country in my neighborhood, are so suited to the apple that it will grow faster in them without any care, or if only the ground is broken up once a year, than it will in many places with any amount of care. The owners of this tract allow that the soil is excellent for fruit, but they say that it is so rocky that they have no patience to plow it. And that, together with the distance, is the reason why it is not cultivated. There are or were recently extensive orchards there standing without order. Nay, they spring up wild and bear well there in the midst of the pines, birches, maples, and oaks. I have often surprised to see rising amid these trees the rounded tops of apple trees, glowing with red or yellow fruit in harmony with the autumnal tints of the forest. The writing back then is just so, so unique. Not what you see today. Going up the side of the cliff about the 1st of November, I saw a vigorous young apple tree which planted by birds or cows. It shot up amid the rocks and open woods there and had now much fruit on it. Okay, he's saying it was planted there by the birds and the cows. Obviously, the birds eat the seeds and the cows poop them out wherever they go. That's where it is. Yeah. Kind of like fish eggs get stuck in the webbing of ducks and geese and the waterfowl, and they fly to another place. And the fish eggs come out, and then the fish gather. Okay, so had how much fruit on it. Uninjured by the frost, when all cultivated apples were gathered, it was a rank wild growth with many green leaves on it still, and made an impression of thorniness. The fruit was hard and green, but looked as if it would be palatable in the winter. Some was dangling on the twigs, but more half buried in the wet leaves under the tree, or rolled far down the hill amid the rocks. The owner knows nothing of it. The day was not observed when it first blossomed, nor when it first bore fruit, unless by the chickadee. There was no dancing on the green beneath it in its honor, and now there is no hand to pluck its fruit, which is only gawed by squirrels, as I perceive. It has done double duty, not only borne this crop, but each twig has grown a foot into the air. And this is such fruit, bigger than many berries, we must admit, and carried home will be sound and palatable next spring. What care I for Iduna's apples, so long as can get these? When I go by this shrub, thus late and hardy, and see its dangling fruit, I respect the tree, and am grateful for nature's bounty, even though I cannot eat it. Here on the rugged and woody hillside has grown an apple tree, not planted by man, no relic of a former orchard, but a natural growth like the pines and oaks. Most fruits which we prize, we depend entirely on our care. Corn and grain, potatoes, peaches, melons, etc., depend altogether on our planting, but the apple, excuse me, while I get the page ready to turn, but the apple emulates man's independence and enterprise. It is not simply carried, as I have said, but like him, to some extent, it has migrated to this new world and is even here and there making its way amid the aboriginal trees, just as the ox and dog and horse sometimes run wild and maintain themselves. Even the sourest and crabbedest apple growing in the most unfavorable position suggests such thoughts as these. It is so noble a fruit. And then he goes on to the crab apple. Now, why are you reading this, John? I just find it interesting. I find it something different to talk about, something that you might enjoy. I do need to get a better light for in here. And apples are one of my favorite fruits, and have become more so have become more so. Since I started doing the Whole30 diet, I just enjoy it. I'm trying to eat other stuff. I've learned, which I wish I learned long ago as a child, what is good for me and what tastes good. And apples are just really good. Good snack food. So, so I enjoy them very much. So I hope you enjoyed that little reading. It's a good book. If you're a reader, you know, find an old book. You know, find an old book, just any book. I have a bunch of books that I have to go through. I have books from Charles Spurgeon, Oswald Chambers. I've got some Emerson, Ralph Emerson, Waldo Emerson. I mean, just books that I've just got to work my way through. And I just enjoy reading certain things, and this is definitely a good reader book. So it'll sit out here, and when I want something to read when I'm smoking my pipe, I will smoke my pipe and I will read and enjoy. So thank you very much for bearing with me and with my reading. I know I'm not the best reader in the world, but I try, and I appreciate taking time to walk. I'm going to enjoy the rest of this pipe. I'm going to call it quits for the day and go to bed. Appreciate every one of you. Love you. God bless. Stay safe. And light 'em up.